It was supposed to be the perfect spring break trip. A group of my closest friends and I had rented a beach house for the week, and we were looking forward to sun, sand, and fun. But things took a turn for the worst on the third day of our trip. We had decided to take a day trip to a nearby island to explore the rugged terrain and take in the stunning views. As we made our way back to the mainland, our boat suddenly hit something. We all jolted forward, and I heard a sickening crunch as the boat lurched to one side. We quickly realized that we'd hit a submerged rock and that the boat was taking on water fast. We tried to bail it out, but it was no use. The water was rising too quickly, and we knew we had to act fast if we were going to survive. We managed to grab a few supplies and a couple of life jackets before the boat started to sink beneath the waves. We were in the middle of nowhere, with no way to call for help and no idea how we were going to make it back to shore. That's when we saw it. A dark, swirling cloud on the horizon, moving closer with alarming speed. It looked like a storm, but there was something off about it. The air grew colder and the wind started to pick up, whipping our hair and clothes around. As the cloud got closer, we realized what it was. A massive swarm of bees. They were heading straight for us, their buzzing growing louder with each passing second. We tried to run, but it was no use. The bees descended upon us, stinging us relentlessly as we frantically tried to swat them away. We could feel our skin starting to swell, our breathing becoming labored as the venom took hold. It was a terrifying experience, one that I wouldn't wish on anyone, but we managed to survive thanks to quick thinking and a bit of luck. We were rescued by a passing boat and rushed to the hospital to be treated for our bee stings. Looking back on that spring break, I can't help but shudder at the memory of the swarm of bees that attacked us. It was a reminder that even the most idyllic of vacations can turn into a nightmare in an instant. My Easter holiday trip to Mexico was supposed to be the ultimate escape from the stresses of college life. My friends and I had been planning it for months, and we looked forward to having nothing but a chill time. The night that we arrived, we had decided to check out a local nightclub, lured in by the promise of great music and even better drinks. It started off as a great night, but as the hours ticked by, the crowd grew more and more rowdy. That's when we noticed a group of men huddled in a corner of the club, eyeing us up with a predatory gleam in their eyes. They looked like they were part of a local gang, with tattoos and leather jackets that marked them as dangerous. We tried to ignore them, dancing and laughing like nothing was wrong, but they kept inching closer until they were right behind us, their hot breath on our necks. Suddenly, one of them grabbed my friend's purse and tried to run. We all took after him, our hearts racing with fear and adrenaline. It was only when we caught up to him that we realized just how dangerous these men really were. They had knives, and they were ready to use them. We fought back with everything we had, but they were too strong, too relentless. In the end, they took all our possessions, our money, our passports, even our jackets. We were left stranded in a foreign country, with nothing but the clothes on our backs and the fear in our hearts. It took us days to make it back home, and the trauma of that experience would stay with us for years to come. That Easter holiday taught me that danger can lurk in the most unexpected places, and that we should never let our guard down, even when we're supposed to be having fun. During my spring break vacation in the Philippines, I decided to venture out into the local town and explore the sights and sounds of the bustling markets. It was there that I had an encounter that left me shaken to the core. As I wandered through the crowded streets, I noticed a group of young men following me. At first, I tried to ignore them, thinking that they were just locals going about their business, but their behavior quickly grew more aggressive, and I realized I was in trouble. I picked up my pace, trying to lose them in the throngs of people, but they matched my speed, their shouts growing louder and more menacing with each passing moment. That's when I spotted a police officer up ahead. I ran towards him, trying to explain the situation, but before I could get a word out, the group of men caught up with me. They started to surround me, their faces twisted into cruel sneers. I could feel their hot breath on my face, their hands reaching out to grab me. It was then that the police officer stepped in, drawing his weapon and ordering the young men to back off. They hesitated for a moment, before scattering into the crowd, disappearing as quickly as they appeared. The police officer escorted me to safety, warning me to be more careful in the future. As we walked away, I couldn't help but feel grateful for his intervention and terrified at the thought of what might have happened if he hadn't been there. One spring break, my friends and I decided to take a road trip to a remote cabin in the woods. We were excited to spend a few days hiking, fishing, and enjoying the great outdoors. The first night in the cabin was peaceful, with nothing out of the ordinary, but the second night, things took a turn for the worse. As we settled in for the night, we heard a strange noise coming from outside. It sounded like someone or something was scratching at the door. We dismissed it as an animal and went back to sleep, but the scratching continued, growing louder and more persistent as the night wore on. We started to feel uneasy, unsure of what was causing the noise. That's when we heard a voice calling from outside. It was a man's voice, and it sounded like he was in distress. We debated whether to go outside and investigate, but ultimately decided to stay inside and call the police. As we waited for help to arrive, the scratching grew more frenzied, and the voice grew more desperate. It was clear that whoever was outside was in trouble, and we felt helpless to do anything about it. When the police finally arrived, they discovered a man trapped under a fallen tree. He had been calling out for help for hours, and the scratching we heard was him trying to free himself. We were relieved to know that the noise had a logical explanation, but we were also shaken by the realization that we could have easily ignored the man's cries for help. The rest of our spring break was spent reflecting on the importance of paying attention to our surroundings and being aware of the needs of those around us. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you want to hear more scary stories, please subscribe and I'll keep them coming. Until next time.